For my father, you never asked me to tell your tale, but knew there wouldn't be time to tell yours. So you launched me as you would a ship, cheering on while inwardly you howled with pain, handing me over to uncertain fate. I come from a middle-class Jewish family, and in November of 1940, the Germans came to requisition the apartment. We made our way to the Warsaw Ghetto, which was very small. We shared the rooms with my mother's younger sister and her baby, Elizabeth. I actually went to school. It was hidden. We had to go down some kind of a staircase underneath. Now, 1942. The conditions got much worse in the ghetto. By that time, I was almost 12 years old. I went to work with my parents sewing. My feet could hardly reach to the bottom of the sewing machine. But my father, who was a very wise human being, asked my aunt to call the nurse of her baby to come and get Elizabeth, my cousin, out of the ghetto. Then one day, the nurse showed up, and my father that night begged her to take me as well. So the next morning, my father called me and he said, you have a new name, Alicia Pasierkiewicz. The ghetto wall was 8 feet high and we jumped down. And the minute we jumped, we were surrounded by Polish adolescents screaming, you Jews, and she bribed them and they finally let us go. And we went to Levy. And Janina went to work, and I was left to take care of my cousin Elizabeth. However, eventually, the neighbors started suspecting that Janina was harboring Jewish children. The Germans came in, and luckily they didn't come to our apartment, but they came to one of the apartments and they took a baby and smashed its head on the wall. How do you forgive that? How do you forgive it? And that's when Janina made the decision. She said, I have to leave because I'll take Elizabeth as my daughter. But you cannot come with me because you're too old. Now, as I'm saying it, I want you to know I completely understood what she was saying. I didn't have, it still makes me cry because I didn't have any anger. And I understood that it was impossible for her to keep both of us. And I went to Warsaw. After, I think, 3 or 4 days, I decided I've got to do something. And I got a job as a cook in a Polish family. The husband in that family decided to make his way into the kitchen where I slept in the middle of the night. Well, I was pretty sexually aware and I realized what it meant. I didn't want to be treated the way the husband thought I could be treated. So I left that place, and the next morning I went to the German Arbeitsamt and gave them a cock and bull story, and I want to volunteer to go to Germany. They didn't look at me and try to figure if I was Jewish or not. They said, come tomorrow. So the next day, it was my birthday, it was November 19th. I was 14. I went to the station. It was probably some 2 hours later. that the train stopped, and I see a horse and a driver. We came to a moat, and sure enough, it was a real castle, and he said, "This is where you get off." They said, "You're going to share a room with a Polish girl." The next 3 months, I went sleepless because I was afraid that if I fell asleep, I might cry for my parents or say my name, give myself away. They said, "You are going to work in the field." They sent me out and asked me to milk a cow. And the cow, luckily, stepped on my foot and I got injured. And they decided that they would keep me as a housemaid. So that was a very lucky thing for me. My life at the castle was amazingly great because I could learn. Although one day we were carrying a carpet and let it drop, and the Baron whipped us. The field supervisor came to me at night and he said, "Lilischen, you have to make yourself scarce because the Polish workers are talking about your being Jewish." And my first thought was, I'll run to the forest. But part of me thought, what if I take the Baron's gun and kill them before I leave? But I decided that would be stupid. And I was actually more angry at the Polish workers who gave me away. But after 3 days, I remember the 2 sets of tanks coming in the forest and shooting at each other. And I saw a number of German soldiers, very young boys, who were half dead, lying in the forest. But I saw the US tanks coming in. And the first soldier, he was a Polish American, and he said, "Oh, she's just a Jew." Later on, an English officer comes in, and it turned out to be a third cousin. And he said, "I will inform your family that you have survived. I'll get in touch with them." I had an aunt, one survivor, who went to New York. Going past the Statue of Liberty, you know, my heart just absolutely said, I can't believe I am here in a country that welcomes people with that kind of a poem written by a Jewish woman. My name is Lillian Trilling, but actually in Poland I was called Lili, not Lily, but Lili, which is very different. Okay. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Thank you, everyone.